courage. We're not going to take this lying down.
This is for all of the women of color, and colorful people.
Now is the time for all of us to stand up and say, enough is enough.
I'm ashamed as a human being that we ignore their cries for help.
Women are in the world, and we will not be bullied.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of the Women in the World Summit. It's our 8th gathering, our final day. We've had a remarkable couple of days, and I'm thrilled to have you all here, either for the first time or back from yesterday. So how many of you in the audience are actually experiencing your first summit? Anyone there? Quite a few hands. And how many have joined us before? And how many of you traveled from outside New York to be here? Lots, that's great. Well, now, I expect some of you may have cut class to be here, so I'd like to welcome, more than a few, I'd like to welcome the New York City public school students here with the New York City Great. That stands for Girls Reaching Every Apex Together. The students of Marymount, Dalton, Hewitt, FIT, Monmouth, Harvard, Vassar, UPenn's Wharton School of Business, and the Boys Feminist Club from Collegiate School. Welcome, all of you. So happy to have the Boys Club. Your efforts to join us, whether it required a flight or risk of detention, will be rewarded with some eye-opening insights from our great speakers. From yesterday, we had some amazing bites that came out of the 2 days. So, yesterday, we had the former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson, who sued Fox for sexual harassment. And she said, "What I found out is that in 2017, every damn woman still has a story, and we've got to change that." And the really feisty lawyer who works with her, Nancy Erica Smith, who represented her and now has launched another suit against Fox, said, "Only call HR about sexual harassment if you think it will be a good idea to call the KGB to complain about Putin." Okay, very interesting insight. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, the 2-time Oscar-winning documentary filmmaker from Pakistan, told us one of the most important ways to tackle an issue is to put a voice and a face on it. She's a great storyteller and has changed the world in Pakistan in many ways with her films. In the dead of night, she said, "I prefer to listen to the voices that are cheering me on because those are the ones that will help me get to the finish line." Then there was the immensely brave woman from Atlanta, the young girl, Laisha Sweeting, who survived being kidnapped and was kept in captivity by a psychopath for 4 years, but survived and is thriving. She said, "I make sure I never go to sleep sad or angry or in too much pain, and I always remind myself that just like I can cry, I can also smile, and that I'm still here to be able to smile." Prime Minister Justin Trudeau rocked the room. Leadership, he said, comes in moments where you stand up and say something difficult or controversial, and it pushes back against people who might otherwise support you. Then there was the fascinating discussion between 2 French Algerian women who see things in very different ways. The journalist and writer Zineb El Rouza, whose colleagues were all killed in the Charlie Hebdo attack, said, "I will consider the hijab as normal dress the day that no woman in the world is jailed for not wearing it." But she was argued against by the teacher and advocate, also from Paris, Samia Hathroubi, who said, "I think you can defend the rights of a Saudi woman to be dressed as they want, and I think you can defend the right of French women to be dressed as she wants." So that was a really interesting discussion between 2 Algerian French citizens of Paris. Then Queen Latifah came and talked about the power of advertising, and she told us that it's about women and the power that we have and what we deserve. And we also have to think about the images that we're putting out there for our young men, and they need to get proper re-education about how to look at women. Scarlett Johansson laid in, I'm afraid, to Ivanka Trump, and she said, "I think you can't have it both ways. If you take a job as a public advocate, you must advocate publicly." Felicia Sanders, the courageous mother whose son Tewanza was killed by Dylan Roof in the Charleston church shooting, told us very memorably, heaven is not segregated. And the Honourable Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister of Scotland, she said, it's not enough just to be a woman in a leadership position, it's important that you do the right things with it. And finally, we had a great moment when Samantha Bee introduced Hillary Clinton, and she said, of course, Secretary Clinton is ready now for something new. That's so Rodham of her. And then, of course, Hillary herself, who was just on fire and at her great best, giving her first sit-down interview since she left the election, which was so painful. And she told us, in her usual amazing way, the personal attacks, the bullying, the name-calling is to crush your spirit, to make you doubt yourself, and I just refuse to do that. So today you're going to hear some really fascinating conversations from equally uncrushable and fearless women. And we'll wrap up with three who don't know what it means to back down from a fight. A woman I hugely admire, Becca Heller, who's a remarkable force for the rights of immigrants and is a fearless pugilist in that cause. And Tamika Mallory and Linda Sarsour, the two of the leading lights between the Women's March on Washington. But before we dig in and meet some of these amazing people, I'd like to acknowledge the generous support of Toyota, our sole presenting sponsor, who are with us through thick and thin. Love you, Toyota. Wherever you are. Our leadership sponsors, AARP, AT&T, the Boston Consulting Group, MasterCard, P&G, and the Rockefeller Foundation. Our supporting sponsors, the Ford Foundation, PepsiCo, Thomson Reuters, and our thanks go out to the enormously generous Walton Family Foundation, to Gender Fair, and to the Tory Burch Foundation for their contributions. By the way, if you haven't seen it already, take a minute when you go out to take advantage of Gender Fair's lounge in the lobby. It's a nice place to discuss the ideas that you've been hearing and chat to your friends and catch up. And also check out Tory Burch's Women in the World boutique, which has got some really great things for sale. It's curated by the International Folk Art Alliance, and they've selected some beautiful pieces, jewelry, bags, accessories, earrings. I'm afraid I was in there first putting away a few little nuggets for myself. Proceeds go directly to the women artists who made them. Guilt-free shopping at its finest. And finally, have you ever noticed that the art in our nation's public spaces features mostly men? Well, there's a new app for that. It's called Hold Story, and it's adding a new dimension to the view. Download the app, hold it up next to a male statue in select locations, and voila, you'll see his female counterpart standing right next to him. It's such a cool thing. I was doing it in Dante Park, and I put Maria Tolchief there, right next to him. It was so beautiful to see. Try it this afternoon with the statue of David right outside the Empire Hotel, and you'll be very pleasantly surprised how the world's view changes, okay? So now let's begin.